Yes. Next, we'd like to have Gary Bays come up and introduce Bill Edwardson.
Hi, everybody. What a joy it is for me to be here. I came to Warner Pacific in the fall of 1976, so that makes me what, old? I can't believe it's been that many years, but you know, just being here today and seeing Killer and Little Powell and some of these other guys, and seeing some of you after all this time, Peggy, Dave was one of my best friends. It has just been an experience that I will cherish forever. That first year, I remember I used to make this famous statement. I was a high school coach for 8 years before I came here. I said, you know, you have to be a real idiot to go through a whole season and not win at least a game. That was my famous statement that I always made. Because I figured, you know, you got to have something on the ball. So my first season at Warner, we went 0-25. That brought me down to earth real quick, I'll tell you. But Joe Gilligan was the president at that time, and I told my wife, Joan, by the way, we're going to celebrate 50 years of being married. We're clapping for her because why she stayed with me all that time, no one knows. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. So, I said, honey, you know, I didn't win any games. She said, really? I didn't notice. So I said, what's going to happen now is this spring I'm going to get fired. Because that's what you do. You can't win a game. She said, I don't think that's going to happen. I said, yeah, it's going to happen. So about March, middle of March, I get the phone call from Joe Gilligan. Time to come to meet him in his office. I know it's going to happen. I expect it. So he said, his first statement, I'll never forget, he said, you had kind of a tough year, didn't you? I said, no, it was a lot of fun. But he said, I noticed some things in this team this year that I hadn't noticed before. You were holding the guys to a higher standard in terms of character, in terms of Christ-likeness, and so on. He said, I appreciated that. So I figured he was saying that to make me feel pretty good for what was next going to happen. So he said, in fact, I really appreciated to this point. He pushes across the desk a check for $1,000. He said, this is your bonus for what you did this year. He said, furthermore, you're going to stay here for a while. I couldn't believe it. And so I did stay here for a while, 12 years to be exact. And over those years, some of the guys that I've met and the parents of those guys, I mean, we haven't seen each other for a long time, but I want you to know that you're a part of me. And I appreciate everything that you've meant to us and our family. So anyway, why am I up here? Oh yeah, Billy. I have the intelligence, and every now and then I show some, to hire a guy by the name of Mark Wickman. Does anybody remember Mark Wickman as my assistant coach? A tremendous guy. I was hoping he was going to be here today, but I mention him because he's really the one that recruited Billy. He helped me a lot in that time period. He said, hey, I found a player up in a small school in Washington that I think we ought to take a look at. So, sure enough, we did. And, you know, Billy was never that imposing type, athletic type guy that you would say, wow, this guy is amazing. But he had that special something that great players have, like obviously Matt had, and the Killer had, and Powell had, and some of these other guys. You could just tell he had that intangible that produces greatness. And my definition, by the way, of a great player is someone who makes the people around him better. And that is truly what he did. Some interesting things that you may or may not find funny, I do, were he quickly got the nickname the Whopper. And the Whopper was the nickname of a guy who played for the Detroit Pistons at that time, by the name of Bill Lane Beard. Does anybody remember that? You have to be in my age group. Yeah, you remember Bill. And, you know, for whatever reason, that name stuck with Billy, and he was known as the Whopper his whole career. So now everybody knows, so that's what you would call. I'm happy to do that for you. And so, the minute he got here, you could tell he was one of those special kids that you don't get very often. See, at Warner Pacific, Bart will definitely relate to this. We get a lot of times kids who are a little flawed in one way or another. Because if a kid has it together academically, and he has it together spiritually or character-wise, and he can play, he's going to go to Duke or North Carolina or one of those places. I mean, that's just the way it is. And then if they're not going there, they're going to the Division II school. And then if they're not going there, then we might get a good one now. Right? That's just kind of the way it is in recruiting. But you know what? I got lucky just like you got lucky with this one. This kid had it all together from the very beginning. Strong Christian guy, strong academically, great player from the get-go. Just one of those kids that you just don't expect to get at Warner Pacific College. In those days, by the way, there was only one division in the NAI. And we had to go against some schools that we had no chance to beat, no matter what. But because of this guy, we won some games that we weren't going to win otherwise. Certainly wasn't on my coaching, right? I went 0-25. There you go. If you get good players, you know what? You're going to win your share of games. It comes down to that. The best thing that ever happened for Billy was in 1987, the three-point line came in. Before that time, there was no three-point line. And so for his last 2 years, junior and senior year, we had the three-point line. And I was smart enough to know this. This guy at 6'8", 6'9", and see, here's what I would normally do with a guy his size. I'd stick him down on the block and just let him go to work down there, right? That makes sense, doesn't it? Like Pete Carroll should have run Lynch. Anyway, I don't remember if it was your idea, it probably was, or mine. We decided to use him both outside and inside because he could shoot the three. And he could really shoot the three, I'm telling you. So because of that, we had a kid who you couldn't guard. If you came out to guard him on the three-point line, he's going to take the ball to the basket. Or he's going to post up. Great story. I don't know if you guys ever played any Division I sports for money. We had to because we didn't have any money. So Montana State University invited us over to play them. And everybody knew why we were going there and make some money. But we were going to get killed. That was okay with us because we needed the paycheck. But Billy Edwardson that night scored 43 points against Montana State University. And they're still talking about it to this day. By the way, I told them I need a tape of that game. When I get a little discouraged, I want to watch that because it was a show that, unlike anything I've ever seen, he did that pretty consistently. In big games, he came up big because that's what great players do. They always are there when you need them to be there. Now, this is a guy who, since he left Warner Pacific, has taught and coached ever since he left here. That's dear to my heart. Somebody who kind of decided, you know what, I'm going to do what others have done for me along the way, and therefore, my life's going to have meaning. So, this whole Hall of Honor thing, it's not necessarily so much about the talent and the stats and the things that you did on the court, although obviously if you didn't do those, you wouldn't be one of these. But it's also about the individual and what that individual is doing to make life other people around him better. And that guy does that. He does it real quietly though, doesn't he? He's not a real talker. Doesn't have a lot to say. But you just watch his life. And that's the great ones. If you watch their life, if you see how they carry themselves, you see something very different. And that's what this is all about. A Hall of Honor for people who are different. They're difference makers. They're the best version of themselves consistently, time again and time again. And that's what this guy was for 4 years. And I was privileged to be his coach. I can't tell you how much it means to me that he asked me to be here for this day. I wish I could have been here, Killer, when you got inducted. I was over in the East Coast at that time. But these guys have made my life better, and I really appreciate it, along with the other guys that played for me and put up with me all those years. Thanks a lot. Billy Edwardson, here he is.
Bill Edwardson, Warner Pacific College Athletics Hall of Honor basketball, conducted 2015. During his 4 years at Warner Pacific College, 1984 through 1988, Edwardson became one of the top men's basketball players in the NAIA. His junior and senior seasons were remarkable as he averaged 25 points and 11 rebounds per game over 61 contests and was named First Team All-District 2 in 1987 and NAIA District 2 Player of the Year in 1988. Nationally, Edwardson was voted Third Team All-American in 1987 and Second Team All-American in 1988. His career numbers include 2,193 points scored, which is number 2 all-time at Warner Pacific, and 1,208 rebounds, which is number 1 at the college. Edwardson scored a career high of 43 points versus Montana State on December 30th, 1986. After his standout career, Edwardson was invited to participate in the Portland Trail Blazers' 1988 rookie camp. Bill, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome you into Warner Pacific's Hall of Honor.
First thing, you can take that picture with those shorts down. My one regret is I was too soon for the baggy shorts. Thank you so much to Coach Bays and his wife Joan for coming today and for those kind words. Sometimes when I think back to my time here, I wonder how it was possible. Things that I did out on the court, I was just very blessed, and I know that the circumstances that I will share with you prove that this is where I belong. God had a plan for me, and this is why I was at Warner Pacific. I'd like to thank the community and the committee for this special honor here at Warner. It's very humbling, even though my kids would tell you that humble isn't in my vocabulary. I'd also like to congratulate all the other honorees that are here today. I was asked to speak a little bit about my experience here at Warner. So my theme is memories. I have a lot of memories, and we'd be here all day, so I'll try to be as concise as I can. When I came here at Warner in the fall of '84, I wanted to get my degree, and I wanted a chance to play basketball. The first time I came down here and saw some of the guys that were playing, I wasn't sure if I could play at this level. And I never imagined what was going to happen in the next 4 years. There's a lot of people I need to thank, and a lot of people that I need to acknowledge now, and so I hope you bear with me. As Coach mentioned, Mark Wickman, he was the first one to turn me on to Warner. I had never heard of this school before. I grew up in Seattle. I went to a summer camp, and Coach Wickman said, you know, I coach at this small school, could I send you some information, keep in contact? And I like getting mail, so I said, sure, go ahead. And as things worked out, this is the place that I came to. The assistant coaches during my time here, I'd like to thank them. Coach Dave Bawley, Coach Steve Jolly, Coach Brinkerhoff, and Coach Douglas is here with us today. As you met earlier, Coach Bays, I was fortunate to get to play all 4 years for Coach Bays. His support of me on the court as my coach, and he was also my advisor in academics, was something that I was very thankful for, and I never, in my whole time here, second-guessed my choice of coming to Warner. So, thank you, Coach. Great teammates that I had. I can't name all of them. Some are here. Marshall, Boo, Lee, all of them. Like Matt said, I wouldn't be up here if I didn't have great teammates. And I'm especially honored to be included in this with Marshall, who unfortunately I only got to play 1 year, and I was scared to death of him the whole time I was here as a freshman. But Coach Bays put me in a room with Marshall and 2 other upperclassmen on a road trip, and I don't think I talked the whole time we were on that trip. My dad and I, when I first heard about Warner, Coach Wickman said, hey, you know, we're going to play at Puget Sound. It was my senior year. I was looking at different schools. Why don't you come up and see us play? and Warner just got crushed. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to play there. But we went out to eat pizza after the game, and I got to meet some of the guys, and that was the first time I met a skinny little, this guy left the pizza place when we got there. I thought that was weird. He came back with McDonald's, and he's sitting over in the corner eating his nuggets. And I thought, what's with him? Well, that skinny little African-American kid was allergic to cheese and became my roommate and best friend, Michael Hawthorne. And when you're a college student, pizza without cheese tastes great the morning after. I found out from him. When I came down that spring from Seattle, as soon as I stepped on campus, I felt comfortable with the staff, the faculty, the students. I knew this was the place for me. As I tell my own kids I have in school and to my kids that I coach, the memories are what's important. I don't remember a whole lot about what I did in this game or that game, or it's the stories off the court, it's the stories of practice. Some good, some bad, but I can't tell you what happened in this game or that game for the most part. It's the memories. And those of you that played for Coach Bays, remember the dread of the fall when we do conditioning. The 72nd hill, we'd have to run sprints up that. I drove up that on the way here today just to get that taste in my mind. We had an 8-mile run every year up Mount Scott, and Coach Bays would run it, and if he beat you, you had to run it again. And people would cut through the cemetery, and we'd have people get lost in the cemetery. My senior year, I'd had mono and tonsillitis through the summer, so I hated running anyway, but running wasn't my strong suit. Coach was running, and I was really worried. He got ahead of me on the up of my legs, I could catch him on the way down, but there's about a mile straightaway along, I don't think it's there anymore, along the freeway, and he was catching me. And thank heavens, we had a freshman pass out, and Coach had to stop him. And as soon as we saw that, he just walked the whole rest of the way. We knew he was stuck back there. So I'm thankful for that kid. He was okay, but he saved my skin that time. Stories. One quick one, some of you will know this though. During my years here, again, money wasn't always something we had a lot of. So road trips, we traveled by the school van. We took a train once to Idaho State. We took cars. Going to Idaho, we all piled into a motorhome one time. We flew sometimes. So one year, we were on our trip to College of Idaho in Northwest Nazarene. We were in 2 vans. The first van had the coaches and the younger guys, because Coach Bays would never let you sleep in the vans. If you were with him, you had to play Trivial Pursuit. So all the young guys got stuck in that one, and the older guys were in the second van. So we had a kid, senior, was driving the van. He had a cramp or wanted to get out of the seat or something. This dating myself, before cell phones. So he just asked the guy next to him if he could slide over, and we just do a quick switch of drivers. Well, middle of Eastern Oregon, they do the switch, and we start falling way behind the first van of the coaches. And we ask, and we'll say, for the sake of this story, and because that was his name was Leo. If you know Leo, you might know where this is going. We're slowing way down, and we say, what's the deal? And he's like nothing's wrong. Oh, I've never driven. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even have a license. I rode the bus my whole life. Right? So we hurry and get the guy back in the seat and made up some story about why we fell behind or something. And from that point on, Leo never drove again. But it's those types of stories. The memories here. The tree outside here where I met my wife and proposed to her New Year's Eve, 1987. Our wedding day, which I will always remember, and I always keep it in the right order. The Trailblazers called me that morning, invited me to rookie camp. Wedding first, rookie travel to most of our games all through my high school, college. They'd always show up, random places. Thank them. The best thing that happened here in my time, meeting my wife, Tina. We'll be celebrating 27 years of marriage this June. And the stuff that she went through while she was here with me, and then as a wife of a coach through all these years, she's been through a lot, and I appreciate her. And our two children, a recent graduate this December at Warner, our son Billy, and possible Warner transfer student, Julie, after a year somewhere else. We're both so proud of you. And again, I'm just very humbled, blessed for this. I know this is where I was supposed to be, and all the people that I see here today after I haven't seen them for a few years. It's a great place to spend college, and I'm just very thankful for this honor. Thank you.